Hi O'Neill, Student Council. My name is Jill. I'm a good friend of Miss Jenny, your teacher, and a former O'Neill resident. And I hear you're doing a blood drive, and I was pretty excited to hear that you guys are getting involved in the community and advocating for people who need your help. That's a pretty rewarding project that you're doing, and I think you'll find it really motivating to do it again in the future. Uh, Blood drives are extremely important to me and a kind of an emotional subject, as I had a child diagnosed with leukemia, which is a blood cancer, and um, I learned a few things on my own, trying to do the same thing that you're doing, and I would like to help you guys out to make it your blood drive extremely successful. And I think it's really important that you make sure that you're educated to answer questions that your potential donors might ask you. So I'm going to give you a couple basics, and I want you to use these tools um, to find people that will help you save lives, because that's what blood drives are all about. There are certain parts to the blood that can actually be separated once they get a unit. There's plasma, which is your transporter of all the healthy cells, and if you don't have that, that's kind of a big deal because it's your vehicle basically to get the um, the blood to the rest of your body. The red cells carry your oxygen, and if you could imagine holding your breath for as long as possible, your body will automatically make you take a breath. It's just natural. You cannot not take a breath willingly. So if your body is lacking red blood cells, your body is suffocating, and it can't do that without a blood donation. So it really will suffocate because it has no oxygenated blood going through it to keep your cells healthy. Next is your white blood cells. They're your infection fighters, and they're the recognizers whether you have a cold or the flu or other illnesses such as leukemia, like Kellen had. And there's your platelets, which are your blood clotters. And if you are low on platelets, your body can literally internally bleed. If you've ever noticed a bruise or cut your finger, it's the platelets that will clot that and stop it and create yourself scab. It's pretty interesting. On average, according to the Community Blood Center, we need 580 donors every day to meet the supply and demand of people who are counting on us to bring in this life-saving blood. Something that a lot of people don't really realize, or they don't think about it when they're doing blood donation, is that it's the most readily available and we all have it. So you shouldn't be fearful of asking people to donate, because it's the cheapest gift, because it's free, that you can give somebody. And what better gift than to save somebody's life, because it's exactly what you're doing. And it's a good way to think about it and tell people when you're trying to bring them in. If you have never given blood before, this is a perfect opportunity for you to take that next step. There are certain regulations. I know you have to be around 115 pounds. In Missouri here, you have to be 18. I don't know if Nebraska is the same. It might be younger. But if you're of weight, then you should give it a try. I know I tried the first time and I was 17 and I didn't weigh enough. And I was pretty disappointed. The second time I tried to give, I had been on an antibiotic, so I couldn't give again. But I kept trying, and eventually I did. And I noticed the first time that I couldn't go without eating a meal first. So if you're a lighter individual, or you're really athletic, or kind of a busy body, you like to eat a lot because your blood sugars get low fairly quickly, you should probably eat a meal before you go donate blood, and drink plenty of fluids, because it's easier for them to get your blood out quicker. The actual process of taking blood only takes about 8 to 10 minutes, which really isn't that long, but We do recommend that you tell your donors it could take up to an hour. You still have to fill out paperwork, and that's because we need to make sure that each donor is healthy enough to give. Like I said, I the first time didn't weigh enough, and the second time I have been on an antibiotic, and you certainly don't want to give blood that's tainted, so to speak. That's not really helpful. Um, I do want to tell you a little bit about Kellen. Uh, he is a blood transfusion recipient, and when he was 3 years old, diagnosed with leukemia, he had um, multiple blood transfusion. He had about 5, and he had 2 plasma transfusions, and his platelets were low, so he had some platelets. Um, and it was amazing to see the pink come back in his cheeks and to see him smiling and having energy again. He actually got out of his hospital bed, and to see that is pretty amazing. So if you haven't ever seen a person who's really suffering from low blood of any kind, the red blood cells or the platelets or any of that, it's pretty cool to see because it doesn't take long at all to see that their body accepts it and they become more lively. They really do. I have a couple comparisons for you because you may not realize what blood donations help. It isn't just people that are sick, it's people who maybe were born with a genetic disorder that need the assistance. Somebody who might have been in a car accident or some other form of accident. And on average, if you don't know, an individual with a weight of like around 150 to 160 pounds has about 5.5 liters of blood in their system. Your age group, where you're adolescent, under that weight, so maybe 100 pounds or so, would have just over half of that amount. And infants, they also need blood transfusions. And so say an 8-pound infant has about 8.5 ounces of blood in their system. And obviously they're not going to give a whole liter to somebody that's small. It might be a little too much, but even a small amount can make a huge difference. I just want to give you an example. So a bone marrow transplant person where your blood is actually made requires 120 units of platelets because they can bleed without those platelets uncontrollably, and 20 units of blood while they're recovering. And somebody who is in that state can actually reject and have a reaction, create fevers. So any person that gets a blood transfusion is monitored carefully to make sure they don't have those kind of responses. If they accept it, though, they feel great. They want to get up and get out of bed, and they literally get the pink back in their cheeks, so to speak. There are different kinds of blood type, and if you don't know that, there's A positive, AB, B positive, O, O negative, which is really the most universal blood type. Anybody can receive O negative. However, an O negative person can only receive O negative, and it's commonly really in shortage. So if you come across a donor who is O negative, I strongly encourage you to get them on a regular donation schedule because they're in dire need. The great thing about blood drives is most of that blood will stay within your community. So it's kind of neat to know that you might be helping your neighbor or a sibling or a friend, a grandparent, and they might not be able to tell you thank you because they don't know it's your blood, but you can be sure that they are smiling on the inside and they are extremely grateful. It's pretty rewarding. I think that once you guys do this once and see how successful you can be, you'll want to do it again, and not just on the student council. You guys might want to go out on your own and give it another try. If you can keep them on their schedules, like every 8 weeks, you might get some regulars. And Jenny said that there are approximately 22 of you. If you each brought 2 people in, that would be 44 lives that you saved. That's pretty fabulous. That's pretty successful if you can do that. And I strongly encourage you to each get at least 2 people and try yourself if you haven't already done it. Again, it only takes about 8 minutes of your time to get your blood drawn, and it's a fairly decent sized needle. It's a little bit uncomfortable when they first do it, but don't let that be discouraging to you because it's very short-term discomfort. As soon as you start pumping that ball and getting the blood flowing through your veins into that bag, it's pretty painless. There'll be people there telling you what you need to do and how close you are to getting done. If you're sitting at the snack table, I want you to know that you are as important as the person who is filing people through line or getting them to a table or getting them water, because when you're done, you can be a little bit, you can tell that you've lost some blood. It's kind of a good wake-up call on what those people who are on a shortage feel like. You won't necessarily be in magnitude that they are, but you'll understand better on what those people are going through. Once you get that snacking needle, you'll feel a lot better, and you'll feel pretty excited about what you've just done. And remember, you saved a life when you did it. Also, you don't know what it's like until it's you. So you donate now, knowing that somebody will help you in the future. It could be me, it could be Miss Jenny, it could be the person sitting next to you who needs your blood, and what an amazing gift. It's pretty cool. I have a friend, Corey, who was a Ewing sarcoma fighter. She unfortunately recently passed away, but she fought really hard towards the end. And about 4 days before she passed away, she wrote this note, and I couldn't say it any better. She said, "Unfortunately, after all my difficulties this past week, there is not a single bag of blood to replenish my body in this hospital with my blood type." She was O negative. So we wait for my O negative blood to be delivered from the blood bank. Due to the weather, donations are down and running scarcely low. Blood alone can save lives, one of those being my own. Without blood, my blood is being depleted of hemoglobin. Therefore, less oxygen is making its way through my body and killing my healthy cells. I am asking you to be proactive in our world and help others who cannot help themselves. She received approximately 55 blood transfusions during her fight and approximately 10 platelet transfusions. So I remind you, this doesn't affect you until it does. It's free. It's a life-saving gift. I wish you luck. I know you'll be successful. This is the face of a mother who thanks you for doing what you're doing and giving me my son. It could have been you if you've already donated blood that saved him. And it meant a lot to me, and it means a lot to a lot of people. So good luck. I look forward to seeing how well you do.